Namaste friends, my name is Amit Garg. Welcome to my channel Ganesha-Hanuman.com. Today we'll talk about the month of December. Very interesting month, lots of planets in their own signs. So we'll do a separate video for each sign, each Rashi. And see, this video will be applicable for both whether you're Aries Lagna or Aries Rashi, that means moon sign. So whether your rising sign is Aries or your moon sign is Aries, this applies to both. It's just that if the moon sign is Aries, then you'll feel the effects more at a mental level than the rising Aries. But the Gochar, the transit chart will remain the same. So we'll see the chart in a bit. So the effects will be, it also depends. Some people see if their Lagna is stronger than the Rashi, then they see the transits from Lagna. If your moon is stronger than the Lagna, then you see the transits from your Rashi, that is the moon sign. That's another method of looking at it. But in general, the results will apply to both Lagna or Rashi. That means rising sign is Aries or your moon sign is Aries. So let's get started. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And for consultations and readings, you can go to my website, Ganesha-Hanuman.com. All right. So this is what's happening for the sign of, for the Aries rising people. So this is the chart. Number one sign is Aries. So you might have your rising sign as Aries or moon sign as Aries. So which is Lagna versus Rashi. So Aries sign, ruled by Mars, right? So Mars, it's a very like a headstrong Lagna or Rashi. So Aries rising people or Aries Rashi people, they tend to take action very quickly and they're very fast. And so the Lagna Lord is sitting in the 8th house. So let me show you. So this is Aries rising, right? So number one sign is Aries. And your Lagna Lord, which is Mars, is sitting in the 8th house, okay? It's sitting in the 8th house with Sun, which is the 5th house ruler. And if you look at this chart, a lot of planets are in their own Rashi. So Saturn in its Mool Trikona sign, Aquarius, Venus in its own sign, Libra, and Mars sitting in own sign, Scorpio, right? So the Lagna Lord is sitting in own sign, Scorpio, in the 8th house. Now, Mars is there with Sun also. First of all, one caution for Aries rising or Aries Rashi people is drive carefully. Do not do rash driving or careless driving because 8th house has a lot of Pitta, Sun and Mars there in the 8th house. So be careful with any kind of, accidents or things like that. So, and that's true for not just like physical things, but also, as I mentioned, do not make or take decisions very fast. Okay, so think through anything. Let's say you have an idea in your mind. Think about it, let it sit in your mind. Just contemplate on that for a while before you take action, because Mars is action. It just wants to act, but you need to think about it before you think thoroughly of all the consequences, okay? Now, a good thing is you have Jupiter sitting in your Lagna, okay? Jupiter in Lagna is like the blessing of the gurus. Jupiter in Lagna takes away, they say that it takes away 1,000 blemishes in the chart, right? So that's really good. And sitting in Lagna, Jupiter is aspecting your 5th house and your 9th house. So aspecting Mercury also. Okay, so a lot of good things, strong planets in this chart: Saturn, Venus, Mars, and then Jupiter, although it's retrograde, but still it has a positive influence on the 5th house and the 9th house and overall chart as well in general. Now, if you look at 7th house, Venus in Libra in a Kendra is, the pillars, the 1st, 4th, 7th, 8th. These are the 4 houses that are the Kendra houses. Venus is creating a Malavya yoga. That's the Mahapurush yoga. Malavya Yoga is formed when Venus is sitting in any of the 4 houses in the Kendra and it's in his own sign. Okay, so that means it gives immense power to that planet. So whatever it represents, whichever houses it rules, those get a boost. So you have a Mahapurush Yoga created by the transiting planets for you, for Aries Rashi people. Okay. Then, of course, Saturn, Mula Trikona sign. And then, so a couple of things. One is these placements will be there most of the months, except that one thing is Mercury will become retrograde on 12th of December. Okay, so for about second half of the month, Mercury will be retrograde. Second thing, Sun will be transiting over to Sagittarius on 16th of December. So we'll talk about that, the results in the first half versus the second half. And Venus will be there until 24th of December. So then it'll go to Scorpio. And then Mercury will be in Sagittarius and then turns retrograde on 12th. And then it actually enters Scorpio on 27th. Okay. So that's the full picture. Now, first of all, you see which house has, a lot going on. So you have 8th house has Sun and Mars. That means the focus will be on the 8th house matters, but wherever Sun goes, so this is one rule, wherever Sun goes, wherever Sun sits, that house gets illuminated. Sun is the light of the universe, right? So that means there may be some secrets that might be revealed because 8th houses are secrets. But this is a very, very powerful combination for you to dive deep into any of the spiritual subjects, learn spirituality, like any spiritual occult sciences like Jyotish, Yoga, Ayurveda. And then, of course, there are trines to Rahu. Okay, Rahu in the 12th house. Rahu in the 12th house gives you access to the other planes of existence. So this is a very, very powerful month for you to probably start some of your esoteric subjects, or if you're already studying, go deep dive, like really, really go deep in your studies. Saturn and Mars will help you. All this Pitta energy, all this fire energy will help. Think of it as very sharp intellect. Okay. Then we have, so Sun is also the 5th house ruler. Okay, so 5th house ruler in the 8th house. That may mean some kind of change, transformation in your love life, in your romance. Okay, but that could also mean that you could do like some kind of spiritual cleansing, spiritual transformation with your partner. So maybe your lover, your romantic partner, you both could do some spiritual studies together. Okay. 5th house is also children. So that's first half of the month. For children also, excellent time to introduce them to spirituality, or if they already are into it, help them do things with them. And that's an excellent time. Now, stay away from any speculative risks like, stock market, things like that, because 5th house ruler in the 8th house, not that great for taking any unnecessary risks, especially in the stock market. Okay. And then next we have Saturn in the Mula Trikona sign. So wonderful time, very, very powerful time for your career. The 10th Lord is sitting in the 11th house. So that means gains from your profession. And Saturn in Mula Trikona sign, that means purely, Mula Trikona means business. Any planet in its Mula Trikona sign means business, meaning it wants to give you results. There's no wasting time. There's no it's there to give you concrete results and benefits. Okay, so 10th house ruler in the 11th house, excellent placement for gains, financial gains from your profession. Saturn in the 11th house, this is good for you to it'll help you narrow down your desires. If there are, expansive planets like Jupiter or Rahu here in the 11th house, that may mean person will have like expansive desires. But Saturn in 11th house, really good for you to focus on your specific, very meaningful desires. Saturn in 11th house also, it'll probably introduce you to some very mature friends. It means you'll not waste time on social media, but you'll develop concrete long-term friendships with people who mean business, who are very serious, serious as in they are not like superficial friendships. Okay. Now, we have, so that is the profession and the 11th house. Now, 11th house ruler also in the 11th house, right? So excellent for finances also. And then the second house ruler, Venus, is in trines to Saturn. So anytime the planets in trines, they always impact each other because it's the same direction and it's the same tattva, same element, right? So this is the air element. Venus and Saturn are trines to each other. So the second lord and the 11th lord are aspecting each other. So they are in trines to each other. And so good for money, good for finances. Okay. Rahu in the 12th house. Excellent time to develop contacts with foreigners, even foreign travel. And as I mentioned earlier, all sorts of esoteric sciences, energy healing, clairvoyance, all of that. Be careful about any expenses you may encounter. Like you may have a tendency to show off or your money, or just do expenses that are not needed. So a good remedy for that is do some donation voluntarily. Okay, so that in a way you're parting away from your money, right? So donation means you're giving away something, but voluntarily, which is good. So that's in a way could be considered as an expense. Okay. And then Venus in the 7th house, as I mentioned, beautiful Malavya yoga. So that means a great time for relationships. Okay. You'll do Venusian things together. It'll lead to like doing fine, refined things in your relationship. You could do art, music, dance, cooking together, gourmet food, or even healing, because Venus is Shukra. Shukra Acharya was the only one who had the Vidya of Sanjeevani, so to bring the dead people back to life. So it's very good planet for healing. So all of those things, you may do things with your partner, and that includes both one-on-one, the personal partnerships as well as business partnerships. Now, one thing, the 7th house has a Papa Kartari. There are malefics on either side, so there may be some stress. So it's not going to be all like bed of roses, but you can work on it if you're spiritually oriented, because Ketu and Sun and Mars, these are all helping you, be within your limits. Okay, do things that matter for the long term. Okay, so that's the overall picture. Now, once Sun moves over to the 9th house, which is on December 16th. So until December 16th, your 8th house is lit up, right? So you have a lot of change and transformation, but for spiritual purposes, and also some secrets might be revealed. Second half of the month, Sun will be actually in your 9th house in Sagittarius. And so that is, again, it may give some name and fame to your father. 9th house represents our father. Or it may actually introduce you to some more exalted gurus. And so it's good. Sun is good in the 9th house, especially in the sign of Jupiter, Sagittarius. Okay, and it'll be trines to Jupiter. So Jupiter will be aspecting this as well. Now, the other thing is, so Mercury, when it goes retrograde, so then you need to be careful with your communication and things like that, because Mercury is also your 6th house ruler and your 3rd house ruler. 3rd house, anyway, represents our communication skills. So when Mercury goes retrograde after 12th of December, be careful, especially with your communication and things happening. Okay, so that's the overall picture. So lots of these things you see here, wonderful placements. One, couple of things need to be careful about is the relationships have a Papa Kartari, but also, as I mentioned, be careful driving. Take good care of your health. Ketu in the 6th house will give you opportunity to go deep and like do cleansing at a very deep level, not just like superficial, take a pill, or just the Western medicine, but do meditation, do healing, cleansing, natural healing, things like that. So focus on that, and do a lot of volunteer work, especially for ascetics, for spiritual people, helping the priests and things like that. That's a wonderful remedy for Ketu in the 6th house. Now, other big remedy overall, excellent remedy for Aries rising is because Mars and Sun in the 8th house, and Mars is also the Lagna Lord, okay, or you can say the Rashi Swami if you're looking at the Aries Rashi. Narsimha mantra, which is specifically Narsimha, the deity for Mars, and Hanuman Puja, Hanuman Chalisa, all of that, especially on Tuesdays, will be excellent remedy overall for Aries rising. And that's true in general, always for Aries, but especially now in the month of December when Mars is going to be in the 8th house. So that's the overall picture for the month of December and for Aries rising. So we'll see you in the next video for Taurus rising. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And thanks for watching. Okay, so next we'll see the month of December for Taurus rising as well as Taurus Rashi. So if you have either your rising sign is Taurus or your moon sign is Taurus, you can watch this video. So this applies to you. As I mentioned earlier, usually we say if your Lagna is stronger than your moon, then see the transits from Lagna. But if the moon is stronger than Lagna, then see from moon. But you can see from both. So this is the picture for Taurus rising. Saturn obviously will be in its continue to be in its Mula Trikona sign, Aquarius, and Mars and Sun, they're sitting in the 7th house. Okay, and then Rahu in the 11th house in Pisces. Jupiter is still retrograde, sitting in your 12th house. And as you can see, it'll turn direct on 30th of December. Mercury will be in your 8th house for most of the month, and it'll go retrograde on 12th of December, and then it'll enter the sign of Scorpio from Sagittarius going backwards on 27th of December. So most of the month it'll be here, part of the month it'll be retrograde. We'll talk about that. And then Venus, which is your Lagna Lord, sitting in the 7th house, own Rashi Libra, and you have the Rahu Ketu axis 5-11. And then of course the moon keeps moving every couple of days, it changes signs. So let's start with the Lagna Lord. Okay, so we'll analyze all different areas of life. Lagna Lord is sitting in your 6th house, and also for Taurus rising, 6th Lord is also the same as the Lagna Lord, which is Venus, right? So if your Lagna Lord is sitting in the 6th house, that means you may actually have this fear of the enemies, or you may actually be your own enemy, in a sense that you may think, oh, I'm not good enough, things like that. So that is one powerful recommendation is be strong, work on your 6 weaknesses. That's what the 6th house is. And here Venus is very strong, own sign Libra. And so it'll help you with figuring out your weaknesses and healing. Healing is a big thing because 6th house is also for health, and Venus is the planet of healing. So excellent time to start some health routines and learn, or go deep in some very natural and deep healing, cleansing kind of modalities, because Venus is Shukracharya, and he's the one who has the Sanjeevani Vidya. So 6th house is going to be one of the focus areas, which is your health and your profession. You may be very good at your work, at your job. You might come across as a Venusian, very like a good, fine, refined qualities. So that's good. Also, now, one big thing is Venus in the 6th house is not that great for relationships in general, because 6th house represents enemies and fighting and things like that. So, and Venus being the planet of relationships and love in general. So it's not that great, but it's strong. It's strong here. The other thing for relationship is, see, Mars and Sun are going to be in your 7th house of relationships. Okay, that's a lot of Pitta energy, a lot of fire energy concentrated in your 7th house of relationships. So be careful when dealing with your one-on-one partnerships, both personal and business partnerships. Make sure you stay calm, because a couple of things. One is, of course, Mars and Sun here, and then also the Venus, which is the planet that represents relationships, is in the 6th house. Now, one more thing that's happening is we have here a mutual aspect of Saturn and Mars. Okay, so Saturn has a 10th aspect on Mars, and Mars has a 4th aspect on Saturn. Okay, let me show you that. So here, so you see here, so from here, you count 10 houses, and Saturn has a 10th aspect on Mars. And from here, Mars has a 4th aspect on Saturn, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's a mutual aspect of Saturn and Mars. Now, generally, Saturn and Mars, if they're together or aspecting each other, it's not a very good thing, because see, Saturn is like applying brakes. Saturn wants you to slow down, whereas Mars is going, at full speed. Mars is all about fast and, doing things right now, no patience, things like that. So when you have Saturn and Mars together, you may actually end up a situation where, for example, you have like applying brakes for a minute, and then accelerator, brakes, accelerator, like that. So fast and slow, fast and slow. Things may start moving. All of a sudden they stop or slow down, things like that. But in this case, both Saturn and Mars are very, very strong. Saturn in own sign Scorpio, along with the king Sun, right? So Saturn is the warrior in chief, and he's good in the company of Sun. And Saturn, of course, in Mula Trikona sign in the 10th house, which it likes to be in the 10th house. So it's not that big a deal, but still there is some caution in terms of relationships again, right? Because we're talking about the 7th house. Saturn's having an aspect on the Mars in the 7th house along with the Sun. And you see Sun in 7th house, it's not that great for relationships. So at least the first couple of weeks in December, until Saturn is still in Scorpio, until December 16th, be very, very careful about having any anger issues in your relationships. After that, Sun will actually move over to your 8th house. And also, wherever Sun goes, that area lightens up. It illuminates that area. So the relationships will be in focus. So that area of life cannot remain hidden. So there will be some revelations, because it's the sign of Scorpio, which is the hidden secrets and things like that. So there may be some revelations about your relationships. But more than that, it's actually a solid placement of two planets of action and doing things, achieving results. But the only caution is be calm. So you can get a lot of things done, and you won't have this crazy like unrestricted energy of Mars, because Saturn is actually casting its slowing down aspect on Mars. So overall, be cautious about relationships. Now, career. Saturn in the Mul Trikona sign in your 10th house, excellent for career. Plus, in addition to that, you have Rahu in the 11th house. 11th house is our financial gains. Rahu is all about material wealth and more and more and more. A lot of desires, though. So Rahu in the 11th and Saturn in Mula Trikona in the 10th house, excellent placement for career. This month, achieve big things. Do things that are going to be foundation for the rest of your life, for your career, because Saturn, whatever Saturn makes you do, it's for the rest of our life. It never goes away. Saturn is the planet of karma, which is, you can translate as profession in a big way. So great for career. Go ahead and do things. Of course, there is also an aspect of Mars, which, be careful about doing things which are, practical. And one thing, do not make any decisions in haste. Okay. But Rahu in the 11th will bring you financial gains. And Rahu in the 11th will also help you with networking. A lot of social networks, social media, webinars, things like that. So focus on that. One caution: do not let your desires go out of bounds. Like Rahu in the 11th may give you like insatiable desires. You may have this tendency of, no matter how much you have, you may still feel like, oh, I don't have enough, right? Now, the 11th lord is Jupiter. It's in the 12th house. So the ruler of the house of gains sitting in the house of losses doesn't necessarily mean there'll be losses. It just means, take care, be careful, because there may be like unexpected areas where you might have to spend because Jupiter is retrograde. So retrograde pretty much in Bhrigunandinari, you can actually bring it back to the previous sign. So that becomes really good with Jupiter and Rahu in the 11th. But still, Jupiter in the 12th house, focus on your expenditures, take care of your expenditures. Most of the month until the 27th, Mercury will be in your 8th house. 8th house Mercury is really great for money from other people. Could be inheritance, or if you're a professional, money from your clients. Okay, all of that wonderful. Of course, Mercury will be retrograde starting 12th of December, so be careful about that. And then it'll enter Scorpio. So first couple of months, excellent. First until 12th of December, excellent for getting money from other people. After that, be careful with your communication, because Mercury is your second ruler and the 5th ruler. So communication with your children and with your family members. And it's going to be in the 8th house and retrograde. Okay, so there may be like a lot of miscommunication with their children, especially, or with their romantic partner. Okay, so love and romance, that area we see from the 5th house. Ketu is sitting there, so not a super great time to get into, new relationship, new romantic relationship. And if you are already in one, try to have more spiritual foundation, then it'll grow, then it'll blossom. Otherwise, Ketu might not want to give you a lot of leeway, a lot of success in that area of life. And be very careful not to take any speculative risk. No risk in the stock market, because Ketu in the 5th house, not so great for taking any risks. Okay, so, and then good for traveling in general, because the 9th lord, long distance travel especially. So the 9th lord is in the 10th house in Mula Trikona sign, so that's great for traveling long distance. And also I would recommend giving some donations to priests or temples voluntarily, because donations then cancel out any forced expenditures we might be facing. So that's overall. And also do not take any new loans in this period, because 6th house has Venus sitting here. You may have this tendency of taking a lot more loans and money than you can afford or need. So be careful about that. But overall, very solid placements with a lot of planets in their own sign or Mula Trikona. But there's a lot of movement also. So Jupiter will be direct in Aries on 30th of December. So that will mean your 12th house will really shine. In general, even now, the whole month of December, great for doing very spiritual work. Even going on a retreat, that's perfect for a retrograde Jupiter in the 12th. Going on a retreat in an ashram is a perfect remedy. So that's month of December for Taurus rising. Next, we'll talk about Gemini rising and Gemini Rashi. So we're talking about the December 2023 transits. If you have Gemini Lagna, which is rising sign, or Gemini Rashi, which is the moon sign, both you can see this video. So it'll apply to you both, Gemini Lagna or Gemini Rashi. And so this is the full picture. This is where the planets are going to be, and then of course they will actually shift through the month, within the month of December as well, some of the planets. But this is how they will start. You'll have Rahu Ketu in the 4-10 axis. You have Mercury, the Lagna Lord, sitting in the 7th house. We'll talk about all of that. And then you have Jupiter, retrograde Jupiter, in your 11th house in Aries, going towards Rahu. And then you have Mula Trikona Saturn sitting in the 9th house. Saturn, Sun and Mars, they are in the 6th house in the beginning until 16th of December. On 16th, Sun will move over to your 7th house. Venus in own sign Libra in your 5th house. So that's the full picture. Now let's see what all areas of life, how they're going to be impacted because of these transits. First of all, Lagna Lord Mercury is sitting in the 7th house. What does that mean? That means your focus will be relationships. Relationships will be on your mind. You'll be thinking about relationships a lot. Okay, and then actually Mercury goes retrograde on the 12th. So that will be a period when you need to be careful about your relationships, that you do not miss anything. Okay, so retrograde doesn't always mean bad, and it actually could be a very good thing, because retrograde planet gives you a second chance. It gives you opportunity to rectify things. Okay, so retrograde Mercury will help you straighten up some things from the past in your relationships. It'll actually help you figure out some maybe miscommunications from the past and things like that. But make sure you do not end up, having any new misconceptions or miscommunication in your relationships. And then Mercury will actually retrograde and move back to Scorpio on the 27th in your 6th house. Now, a lot of energy concentrated in your 6th house with both fire planets, Sun and Mars. So it's great for competitive exams, for taking care of enemies. Pretty much with Sun and Mars together in the 6th house, nobody can, stand in front of you. You will be victorious. But that also means, 6th house represents our inner weakness and external enemies also. So make sure you're not taking action to hide or so basically take care of your weaknesses first, okay, before you go out and attack or take care of external enemies. Make sure you take care of inner weaknesses. Be careful with your health. A lot of pitta energy in the 6th house. Good time actually to take action and start some health routine, some diet and things like that. So that's going to be for 6th house. Sun and Mars here. It's a good time to pay off any loans. 6th house represents loans, and Mars and Sun, very pitta, fiery, malefic planets. So do not take new loans, but excellent time to pay off any loans that you already have taken. Now, Rahu Ketu in the 4th 10 axis. So that means you'll feel a lot of push and drive and energy to do things for your career. So you'll be very busy at your work. There won't be like very settled energy, but in a sense, there'll be lots of moving parts and maybe lack of clarity, but all good. I mean, it'll be, you'll be making progress in your career. At the same time, in your home front, in your 4th house, you have Ketu. So you may feel kind of detached, or, you may not want to be at your home, or the best remedy for that is sort of turn your residence into a retreat center, or just do meditation, lots of deep spiritual work sitting at home or with your mother, things like that. Not a great time to do any like real estate transactions, right? So or buying a new home, things like that. So not for real estate, not for vehicles either. Not a great time to do that. And then you have let me just highlight what I'm talking about. Okay, so then we're talking about Saturn. Saturn is the ruler of the 8th house, sitting in the 9th house. It's also the ruler of the 9th house, and it's Mula Trikona sign for Saturn. Okay, so that means it's actually a lot of focus on spirituality. 8th house is change, transformation, deep hidden wisdom. 9th house is gurus and dharma and higher wisdom. So focus on very, very serious subjects. Saturn is a serious planet. Learn some deep secrets of the universe. But also great time for higher education. If you have been planning to enroll in a college or something, this is the time. Because Saturn in the 9th house, Mula Trikona Saturn, will give you success for the long term. So you'll work hard. It'll make you work hard, but give you good results. Okay. And then, so Jupiter is retrograde in the 11th house. So that's good for financial gains. It'll come back to the 10th house because it's retrograde, but it'll be direct on the 30th of December. So it'll give expansion in your social circles. You'll probably have a lot more desires than you should. So because it's in the Jupiter in the 11th house, but they will still be in check because there's a third aspect of Saturn from 9th house. Saturn is aspecting the 11th house. So 11th house, actually, you will get things done related with 11th house. Wherever you have the combined aspect or presence of Saturn and Jupiter together, they're looking at a sign, a house, or they're together conjunction, that house gets things done. So 11th house will give you good concrete results. You may develop good friendships, spiritual friendships. You may develop presence on social media, things like that. So that's a excellent placement. Now, the fifth house has Venus, which is in own Rashi Libra. So you'll have great time with respect to love, romance, finding a relationship partner, and not like long-term marriage and stuff, but for love and romance. Okay. Excellent time for doing creative projects. Fifth house represents our creativity. Okay. So any kind of arts, dance, music, or singing or cooking food, nice gourmet food. All of those are excellent. And Venus is the planet of luxury and finance also. So this might be a good time to, get into the stock market and invest. But it also represents your 12th Lord. So 12th Lord sitting in the fifth house. 12th house is also one of the houses of investments, because 12th is second from your 11th, your financial gains, and then second house from 11th gives you like opportunity to invest money. So it's a good time to take some calculated risk, but I would say even better to do any like long-term investments. And then, of course, these transits, it depends on which Mahadasha, Antardasha you're running. But overall, that's going to be the picture. Second half of the month, after 16th of December, Sun will enter the 7th house. Now, Sun in the 7th house, not so great in general for relationships, okay? Because Sun is a lot of fire, Pitta energy, Sun. And there's, story in mythology where Sanjana, the wife of Sun, she couldn't stand the luster, the brilliance of Sun, and created a copy of herself, shadow, Chaya, and then left. So in any case, second half of the month, careful about your relationship. Give, a lot of freedom. Let your partner shine if that's the case, if they are in the limelight or they are getting success. Don't be jealous, or don't be, be happy for them. You can maintain some distance, okay? If you can't stand, that kind of success, or literally if they are too bright or, wise or having a lot of success, just step back and you let them have that, let them enjoy that, or in fact, support them, okay? Because your Lagna Lord is sitting there as well for most of the month. So your job is to take the back seat or the passenger seat and then support them and help them shine. And then it'll blossom. Then Sun in 7th house will give you a lot more success. Like eventually, Sanjana, they met again, Sun and Sanjana, and they had twins, the Ashwini Kumar. So that's the idea. So a lot of things you can learn through mythology, but that's the overall picture. A lot of things, a lot of moving parts for them in the month of December. This is for Gemini rising. So next, we'll see the month of December for Cancer rising as well as for Cancer Rashi. So if you have your rising sign is Cancer, your Lagna is Cancer, or your moon sign is Cancer, this applies to both of you. So you can look at this video. And then, of course, there's different ways. A lot of people look at the Gochar, the transit from based on their Lagna. Different people, some people look at the moon sign. Whichever is stronger, the Lagna versus Rashi, whichever is stronger, you can look at that. But in general, the results will apply both for Cancer rising and Cancer Rashi. So the month of December has a lot of changes happening. So we'll see. First of all, let's look at the placement of different planets. So you have the Rahu Ketu axis in the 3-9 axis. So Rahu in the 9th house, Ketu in the 3rd house. You have Jupiter, retrograde Jupiter still in Aries, that will actually in the 10th house, that will actually go direct on 30th of December. So towards the end of the month, Jupiter will be direct, still in Aries. You have Mula Trikona Saturn sitting in the 8th house. You have Mercury in the 6th house, and then you have the Saturn and Mars, very strong fire energy. Sun and Mars. Sun and Mars sitting in the 5th house. We'll talk about all of that. And then a very, very wonderful placement, Venus. You have this Malavya Yoga. Venus in own sign Libra in a Kendra house. So that gives you Malavya Yoga. So we'll talk about all of that. And then Mars and Saturn, they're having a mutual aspect on each other. Saturn having a 10th aspect on Mars, Mars having a 4th aspect on Saturn. So that's a lot of things. So let's begin with, first of all, so this Malavya Yoga. Venus in your 4th house in own sign, in a Kendra house in own sign of Libra. Excellent time for doing home renovation projects, basically beautifying your home. Okay, so any art, decoration, painting, things like that for your home, or just decorating and things. Like cooking really nice, nourishing food at your home instead of eating out. That's another big theme. Working on some healing projects for yourself or for other people as a business. So from your home, like a home business based around healing and food and water, that kind of thing. Very good time for doing meditation, figuring out like finer things in life, the things that give us enjoyment and pleasure, and also maybe buying a new vehicle, because Venus also represents vehicles, and the 4th house is our vehicles. So it's a perfect combination for maybe buying a new vehicle, but careful about expenses, because your 12th lord is sitting in the 6th house and it'll be retrograde early in the month on the 12th of December. But overall, it's a good, I mean, if you are have been looking for buying a car or something, so this is a good period. This is a good time. And then spend some time with your mother. This will be good for you. Venus in the 4th house. 4th house represents your mother. Venus is very strong and gentle and calming and nicely placed in the 4th house here in Libra. And you can do things together with your mother, decorating the home, or just like interior decoration, things like that. So that's Venus in the 4th house. And Venus is also your 11th house ruler, basically. So that's it's the planet for financial gains. So sitting at home, you may actually have financial gains, like home-based business and things like that. But also inviting your friends to your home for gourmet, nice, nourishing meals and having dinners together. So great time for socializing. Okay, invite your friends from and bring them home. Also, a good time to be on the social media, but not in a very haphazard or random manner, but in a very sensitive, fine way. For example, if you post something online, make it very Venusian, like very nice and sophisticated, and that looks good, that has a good aesthetics and things like that. So present yourself on social media in a very Venusian kind of a manner. Now, let's talk about relationships. So your 7th house ruler is sitting in the 8th house in Mool Trikona sign. So in general, Saturn in the 8th house gives you access to higher wisdom, deep secrets of the universe. And Saturn in the 8th house, one of the key remedies or things you can do to enhance this energy is pranayam. So do lots and lots and lots of pranayam. It'll be excellent for you. Now, 7th lord in the 8th house, that may mean a lot of change and transformation in your relationship. But Saturn being the planet and it's in Mula Trikona sign, that means that will be for something good. Like both of you will probably start some meditation together, or some courses, learn esoteric subjects together, occult sciences together. So that's the key remedy for relationships for Cancer rising for the month of December. In fact, this will be applicable, throughout until March, April of 2025. So that's going to be the case. And then 8th house ruler in the 8th house, you may actually get inheritance or good for money from other people. Okay. Then we have Rahu in the 9th house. Good to explore some higher education. You may actually meet some non-traditional gurus or some new gurus or gurus from a foreign country. Or you may develop a spiritual friendship with people who are not from your own country or who seem foreigners. Okay. But there may be some miscommunication, things like that, issues, illusion with respect to guru. So be careful when you choose a guru or find a new guru, that, don't let Rahu cause any confusion in that area. With your father also, there may be some issues, some confusion, things like that. So not a very settled energy when it comes to relationship with the father, because Rahu in the 9th house, and Rahu doesn't like being in the 9th house, especially if this is the sign ruled by Jupiter, Pisces. Okay, so and then at the same time, Ketu in the 3rd house. So be very careful with your communication, because Ketu is, you may end up making like headless mistakes. Okay, so let me point out. So we're talking about here 3rd house, Ketu in the 3rd house in Virgo. So be careful about communication. And on top of that, the ruler of the 3rd house is in the 6th house, not a great placement. And it will go retrograde early in the month, on the 12th of December. So the 3rd ruler, which represents communication, will be retrograde, and it's sitting in the 6th house. And then towards the end of the month, it'll actually go back to the 5th house. But also be careful with your relationship with your siblings, especially younger siblings. Okay, but it may be a good, so not so great for short distance travels, but maybe a good time for long distance travels. That will help your Rahu in the 9th house. Okay. In terms of finances, again, we talked about Venus and being the 11th lord. So it's good for finances. Venus is in Libra, sitting nicely in the 4th house. And then also the 2nd ruler, which is another house for finances, for money, family wealth. Sun is in the 5th house in Scorpio, in a friendly sign. Okay, so that's a good placement as well. So overall, decent for finances. And you may actually see like kind of your luck shining through. Like Rahu in the 9th house may give you like some sudden surprises, like, good luck things, and all of a sudden something happened you were not expecting. So that's the Bhagyasthana, Rahu in the Bhagyasthana. Okay, so that's the overall energy. Now we talked about Mercury. Now 5th house. Okay, 5th house has a lot of fire energy, Sun and Mars there. So be careful in your communication with your children, and also not so great for finding a romantic partner. Okay, your love life, because there could be a lot of anger. You may actually make a decision in haste. There's a lot of fire energy. Fire is fast, right? So you think of, you meet somebody, hey, then you get together. So be careful with that. And if you are already in a romantic relationship, be careful about any anger issues there. And that's true for the first half of the month, at least, a very strong fire energy. After December 16th, Sun will actually move over to the 6th house in Sagittarius. Okay, so that will actually bring limelight over to your 6th house. So that'll be good. The second half of the month will be good for doing social work, volunteer work, focusing on your health, because Sun illuminates wherever it goes. So 6th house will not be hidden anymore. You have to work hard on your health. It's a great opportunity actually to develop some routine, because Sun is the planet of being punctual, on time. Sun rises, Sun never stops. Sun is the most punctual among all the 9 grahas. Like Sun represents motion, that something that never stops, right? So it's so great time to develop a health routine which you want to continue for a long term. Okay, so Sun in the 6th house. Not so great for taking any new loans and things like that. And 6th house is also your job, so you may actually shine at your job, in your 9-to-5 job. You may get name and fame and recognition. So that's the overall energy, the changes, the things happening for Cancer rising and for Cancer Rashi in the month of December. So next is Leo Lagna, Leo rising or Leo Rashi. So it applies to both, whether you have Leo rising or your moon is in Leo. So we're talking about transits. So this is number 5 sign, Leo. We're talking about the transits in the month of December. So you see lots of changes happening, lots of interesting things happening. For Leo, so first of all, let me explain the placement of the planets. So you have Rahu Ketu axis, the 2-8 axis, Rahu in the 8th house and Ketu in the 2nd house. You have retrograde Jupiter in the 9th house, but Jupiter will become direct on 30th of December. So it'll still be in the sign of Aries, but it'll become direct after a few months of being retrograde. You have Mercury in the 5th house. Mercury is your 2nd and 11th ruler, sitting in the 5th house in Sagittarius part of the month, and it'll become retrograde on the 12th of December. So that's going to be a big shift, and it'll actually go over to the sign of Scorpio on 27th of December because it's going retrograde. Okay, now you have a lot of fire energy concentrated in your 4th house. Sun and Mars sitting in the 4th house, Saturn sitting in the 7th house in a sign of Aquarius, Mula Trikona sign, and then of course Moon will keep changing signs every 2-3 days. Then you have excellent placement of Venus in the 3rd house in own Rashi of Libra. Okay, so that's the overall picture. Let's see all the areas of life. First of all, thing that grabs your attention is this 4th house, especially the Lagna Lord is sitting in the 4th house. Okay, so let's see. So we're talking about the 4th house where Sun and Mars are sitting. So lots of fire energy in your 4th house. Lots of things to keep in mind. Be careful with your communication with your mother. At your home, in your place of residence, you may feel this unsettled energy, like a lot of movement, change, because fire moves fast. Literally, physical fires also. Be careful about any fire instances, issues in your home, and also. But this is some good time to think about doing some real estate investments or buying some things, because Mars is the Bhumi Karaka, right? Mars represents land, and Sun is there as well, very strong. So this is a strong placement, especially your Lagna Lord being a Sun, a strong placement for looking at any kind of like real estate deals and things like that. And also vehicles, 4th house represents vehicles, so it's a strong energy. Now, also Saturn is aspecting the 4th house. So this Saturn will not, Mars may make you act very swiftly without thinking through the consequences, but Saturn will control that. Okay, so there's a lot of fire energy, but then Saturn is air, so it may still have a lot of movement, but it'll restrict any illogical decisions, right? So any action you take without thinking through the consequences. So that's the 4th house for you. Let's talk about finances. Your 11th Lord and your 2nd Lord, both is Mercury. It's sitting in your 5th house. Okay, so it's a strong placement. It's a very good placement. So there's a connection of the 11th house, the 2nd house, and the 5th house, which all are money houses, right? And it's the planet of Mercury we're talking about, which itself is the planet of communication and money and business and doing things, and very fast moving planet, right? So the first couple of weeks, actually until December 12th, it's excellent. Focus on making money, doing things, doing deals, talking to people, things like that, communication, business, growing your business, financial gains through your business, all of that. After December 12th, be careful. I mean, it's still good. It's still in the 5th house, but be careful about any miscommunication when it comes to money, your financial dealings. And then Mercury will actually move over to the previous sign of Scorpio on the 27th. Okay, so that's that will bring focus to sort of making money from your home, like home-based business and things like that, or more, in partnership with your mother, involving your mother in your financial matters. So that's that's going to be the theme when Mercury goes back to Scorpio. Okay. Now, Rahu is sitting in the 8th house. Rahu 8th house gives you access to deep, hidden, secret wisdom. Rahu makes you fearless in the 8th house, right? So let's say 8th house, then in natural Kal Purush Kundali, 8th house is Scorpio, which is like a bottomless ocean, right? And then, but it's dark down there. So we may feel fearful and things, but Rahu in the 8th house makes you fearless. So excellent time for you to dive deep into some deep esoteric wisdom, occult sciences, Jyotish, yoga, Ayurveda, things like that. And then you also have so at the same time when Rahu is in the 8th, so Ketu will be in your 2nd house. You may feel like doing a fasting, like you may not feel like eating much, and also same thing with your speech. You may feel like restricted speech, like you don't want to talk much, which is fine, but also Ketu in the 2nd house may give some issues with your family, extended family in general. So be careful about that. Now Venus in the 3rd house, great time to showcase your communication skills, and talking to people in a very Venusian manner, like very fine, sophisticated manner. That's the big thing. Then you'll get a lot of success. And also 3rd house is our skills as well. So learn some art, science, art, music, dance, painting, things like that. So especially things, skills with your hands. So developing new skills with your hands is going to be the theme. You'll get a lot of success doing that. Next, let's talk about relationships. See, Saturn is in your 7th house in Mula Trikona sign. A lot of people fear Saturn in the 7th house. It's actually not bad. We say when Saturn is there in the 7th house, the person gets one solid lifelong partner. So that's because Saturn is a mature planet. So you may actually find that your relationship is getting a lot more depth and maturity. Okay, so that's what Saturn in the Mula Trikona does in the 7th house. So, and you may actually want to do some partnerships and projects with your partner. So Saturn will help you with that. Saturn is the planet of karma, and Saturn is in Mula Trikona, which means it's like doing business, like actually making things happen. So a good time to solidify your relationships. Next, love and romance that we see from the 5th house. Mercury is sitting there, right? So Mercury is the planet of communication. So if you're, looking at some new relationship, a romantic relationship, focus on communication, very deep communication, because it's a sign of Sagittarius, which means Sagittarius is all about improving your spiritual, going higher, next level on your spiritual path. So, involving spirituality when you talk to somebody, and also 5th house is your children. Same thing applies. So a good time to connect with your children, and then, focus on spirituality. But be careful the 2nd half of the month. After 12th of December, Mercury will be retrograde. So then you have to be careful with your communication with your children, with your romantic partner, and things like that. Jupiter sitting in the 9th house, wonderful for higher education. This is the Bhagyasthan also. You may luck may shine upon you, and especially after December 30, though. So it's still retrograde, which is fine, but it'll give you the blessings nevertheless. But after December 30th, it'll be much, much, much better energy for your higher education. You may meet some new gurus, spending time with their sangha. All of that will have the positive energy during the month of December. So that was the month of December for Leo Lagna and Leo Rashi. Next is Virgo rising as well as Virgo Rashi here. So we're talking about the month of December for Virgo risings, and so this applies to both. If you're Virgo rising, that means you're a Virgo Lagna, or your moon is in Virgo. So this is the Virgo sign number 6. So first of all, let's look at the placement of all the planets. The Rahu Ketu have, of course, shifted. They have changed signs. So now Rahu is in your 7th house and Ketu is in your 6th house. I'm sorry, in your Lagna. So 1-7 houses. You have wonderful Venus in own sign, Libra in your 2nd house. You have Saturn and Mars, a lot of fire pitta energy in your 3rd house. You have Mercury sitting in the 4th house. And then you have Mula Trikona sign. Mula Trikona Shani Saturn sitting in your 6th house in sign of Aquarius. And Jupiter still retrograde for most of the month in your 8th house in the sign of Aries. Jupiter will turn direct on 30th of December, in fact. And then, of course, moon keeps changing signs every couple of days. So that's the overall picture. So your, so we'll look at different areas of life. First of all, your Lagna Lord, which is Mercury, and the Lord of your career. It's sitting in your 4th house. So doing home-based business, focusing on your home, spending a lot of time at your home and doing business, doing communication with other people. All of that will be very, very fruitful and useful. And then also focus on your mother and focus on, doing things together with your mother. And you could actually also partner in doing things together for your business with your mother. Okay. So that's the Lagna Lord sitting in the 4th house. But as of December 12th, Mercury will go retrograde. So careful about communication with mother, and you may feel like, going away from your home and things like that for a little while. But this will actually help you. The retrograde Mercury will give you a chance to rectify any mistakes from the past with respect to your place of residence, with respect to your mother, your relationship with your mother. And actually, it may also give you a second chance in those areas. So that may be a good blessing in disguise for retrograde Mercury. And then Mercury will actually enter Scorpio, going backwards on the 27th of December. So then you'll have even more energy in your 3rd house. Now, 3rd house has 2 big Pitta planets sitting there, Sun and Mars, a lot of fire energy. Number 1 recommendation, be very careful with your communication with your siblings, especially younger siblings. Secondly, be careful with your communication in general, because 3rd house represents our communication. 3rd house is also short distance travels, and Mars and Sun there. Be careful. Do not drive too fast. Be careful driving. And then Sun and Mars. So also 3rd house represents our skills. So good time to learn some skills with respect to with your hands. Especially Mars is a very physical planet. So maybe actual like boxing or things doing with your hands which are physical in nature. So that it's a great time for that. Venus sitting in your 2nd house, a wonderful time for family reunions, and also working on your family wealth. Venus is the planet of luxury and finance and banking and all of that. 2nd house is family wealth. So work on a plan to develop your family wealth. Excellent time for a speech, for giving webinars, because you'll come across in a Venusian manner, which is like fine, refined, a very good, organized manner. So good for speech or speaking engagements. Good for adopting some nice diet, a rich diet also. 2nd house is your diet. Now, Ketu and Rahu in the 1-7 axis. Ketu in your Lagna, Rahu in the 7th house. So you may have this tendency or this feeling of going within and staying away from people, which is fine. So doing lots of meditation, head massage, things like that. And then Rahu in the 7th will actually give you, some changes in your relationship for good. You'll actually probably make some financial gains working with your partner together on some ventures. But there might be some unsettled energy there. You may actually travel away from your spouse, things like that, because it's the extreme Vata. Rahu is Vata, and it's wherever it's Vata is fast movement also, right? So, but if you're not in a relationship, if you're not married and things like that, so then Rahu in the 7th will actually give you opportunities to find new people, make new connections. But be careful in committing. Do not commit too fast, because Rahu is also the planet of illusion. Okay, and then you have Saturn in the Mula Trikona sign sitting in the 6th house. Excellent time for starting some health routines, focusing on your health. Secondly, a great time to do some volunteer work, especially for older people. Third, this will be really good for your work, for your profession. It more for like 9-to-5 jobs or any, if you do a job for somebody, then this will lift you up. It's a great time to make things happen in your job, in your work. And then Saturn in the 6th house, it's a good time to pay off any loans that you might have taken. Jupiter is going to be in your 8th house throughout this month, of course, and most of it'll be retrograde, and it turns direct on the 30th. So good time for getting money from other people, even like inheritance, things like that. So those will be good. You'll see the influx of money. And then, as we mentioned, Venus in the second house as well. So overall, which is family wealth. So good period overall for money matters. Now, you also have, Moon, of course, will keep changing, but there is also mutual aspect of Mars and Saturn for most of the month. So that means Mars and Saturn, wherever they have a mutual aspect, there could be like stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. But they're both very strong. Mars in Scorpio own sign and Saturn in Mula Trikona in Aquarius. So you may see some, blockages and stop and go kind of a situation when it comes to relationship with your siblings, with your skills, learning new skills, or short distance travels, things like that. So be careful around that. But overall, a lot of good, positive things happening for Virgo rising and Virgo Rashi in the month of December. Now we'll talk about the Libra sign, Libra Rashi. So we're talking about the December transits, and this is applicable for both the rising sign Libra, the Lagna is Libra, or the moon sign is Libra, which is the Libra Rashi. So if you're either Libra Lagna or Libra Rashi, you can watch this video. This should apply to you. The Gochar is the same. So first, let's see the placement of the planets. Number 7 sign, of course, Libra, and you have Venus, your Lagna Lord, sitting in the Lagna in the first house. You have Mars and Sun in the second house in Scorpio, and Sun will move out of Scorpio on December 16th. So half of the month, Sun will be in the second house, half of the month in the third house. And then Mercury is in Sagittarius in your third house. Shani in Mul Trikona Rashi Aquarius in 5th house. Rahu Ketu in the 6-12 axis. Rahu in the 6th house, Ketu in the 12th house. And Jupiter sitting in the 7th house. Most of the month it will be retrograde still in Aries. On December 30th, it will move direct. So let's see, let's analyze different areas of life. Libra rising, number 7, or Libra Rashi. Venus is sitting in the first house in the Lagna. Okay, and Venus is in the Mula Trikona Rashi, Libra, and it's creating a beautiful Malavya yoga. So that means a great time for you to just shine your personality, develop your personality. You should shine through, do Venusian things, be very gentle, develop feminine qualities like, being just gentle and caring and nurturing. You can learn some art and dance and music, all of that. And also you can learn some healing arts. Venus is the planet of deep healing. You can learn, the Libra kind of things like diplomacy and being very, being a pacifier, being the negotiator, so all those things develop your skills, your personality, your being, and come across as a very refined, very gentle and loving and caring kind of a person who has a lot of skills of Saraswati Mata, art, dance, music, painting, drawing, all of that. So that's the Malavya Yoga with Venus sitting in the Lagna, in the Kendra house, in your first house in Libra. We have a bit of fire energy concentrated in your second house, Sun and Mars together, at least for the first half of the month. So be careful in your communication with your family. But good time to work on family wealth. Mars and Sun make things happen, and they make things happen at a very fast pace. So, any plans or any things related to the family wealth, that'll be good. But careful about communication with family, and also in general, your speech. Make sure you're not speaking harsh words. And that too, Mercury will be retrograde from 12th December onwards, the planet of communication. So especially important for you, for Libra rising and Libra Rashi people, to pay attention to the words coming out of your mouth, especially after December 12th when Mercury is retrograde. Okay, and the Sun, it's one key theme that's coming out of this is finances. For Libra rising, the 11th Lord, which is Sun, and the 2nd Lord, which is Mars, they're together. So there's a yoga between the the second lord and the 11th lord. So that's really good for money, financial wealth, as we discussed already. Good to make plans for family wealth. And then we have the Rahu Ketu in the 6-12 axis. Rahu in the 6th house will help you fight the enemies. Rahu is a fighter. Okay, Rahu is a maverick. Rahu, especially 6th house is the Upachaya Sthan. Rahu is the most powerful in the 6th house. Rahu loves being in the 6th house. This will also help you remove any internal weaknesses you have, the Shadripus that we have. Be careful at your work. If you have a 9-to-5 job, there may be some illusions and misconceptions at your work. Be careful. If people work for you, be very careful that they don't deceive you, or because Rahu is a trickster, and 6th house is the people who work for us. But excellent time to do some volunteer work, especially with foreigners, with foreign people, or for any foreign people, like different culture from yourself. And Rahu will help you if you want to develop some unconventional health routines. Rahu in the 6th house. And be careful about your health also in general. Do get checked up if there is if you feel anything, because it's like it may just be the excess of vata in your system. Rahu is extreme. It's like a storm. Okay, Ketu at the same time in the 12th house. It's a mokshakaraka. 12th house is the moksha sthana, and so a wonderful time to do spiritual healing, to do energy healing, to do clairvoyance, to do astral travel, lucid dreaming, and also, if you have ever thought of going on a retreat in an ashram, this is the perfect time. Okay, and this will stay not just for December. This will, of course, be the case for the rest of the duration when Ketu is going to be in Virgo for pretty much next year and a half. So this is excellent time for you. Jupiter in your 7th house. Okay, it's a great time. This will give you expansion in your relationships, and your relationships will have spiritual foundation. So grow your relationships. Of course, Jupiter is retrograde, so there may be some opportunities to go back and correct some mistakes from the past, or this will give you a second chance to grab some opportunities you may have missed in the past, connection with both personal relationships and your business partnerships, one-on-one partnerships. Okay, and then we have Saturn also in its Mool Trikona sign in the 5th house in Aquarius. That is excellent for your children to get things done, to actually do some concrete things. And then also it's a chance to sort of develop a partnership, a romantic partnership with somebody who's mature. Okay, so who are very like deep thinkers, and could be like Aquarian kind of energy, who are very different, and they love to help other people. They might be a little bit eccentric, Aquarius, but they are very creative. So one big thing with Saturn in Mula Trikona in 5th house is develop some creative projects or work or ideas that with the aim of helping the humanity, because that's what Aquarius does, and that's what Saturn Mula Trikona, ultimately Saturn wants to help. And so develop some creative ideas that will help other people. You could do that with your children or with your romantic partner as well. Okay. And this may be a good time to take some calculated risks in your stock market investments. And so, of course, but this is not a financial advice. This is just purely based on the planetary positions. This is not a financial advice. But overall, the Malavya Yoga stands out as a very powerful time for you to uplift yourself, to have your personality shine through. Okay, and then at the end of the month, Jupiter will be direct, and then that will actually give you a lot of perspective, a lot of push forward in your relationships, and you'll be able to look back. And right now it's been retrograde, and you've been doing things to work on your, correct some mistakes or expand your relationships. So all of those efforts will fructify when it goes direct. And then Sun, of course, will be in the third house in Sagittarius, middle of the month. On 16th of December, Sun will move over to Sagittarius. So that will be a time when you will shine in your local community, like, short distance travels. Your communication skills will be really good. Sun in the third house, and then also Mercury will be retrograde though. So Sun and Mercury together really good in terms of communication, but it's a good time to reflect on your past communication and improvise those, and then also learning some new skills with respect to your hands. That's the third house. So overall, a lot of blessings, a lot of good, solid placements of planets in their own sign, or Mul-Trikona Rashis. So that's December, month of December for Libra Lagna and Libra Rashi. So next we're talking about Scorpio Lagna or Scorpio Rashi. So if your rising sign is Scorpio, or if your moon is in Scorpio, you can watch this video. So overall, let's look at the chart. So we're talking about these transits in December. First here, of course, Scorpio Lagna or Rashi. You have Mars and Sun in Scorpio in the first house, Mercury in the second house in Sagittarius, Saturn in the fourth house in Mula-Trikona Rashi, in Aquarius, Rahu in the fifth house in Pisces, Jupiter in Aries, still retrograde, but it'll go direct as of December 30th. So it'll be direct in your sixth house. And then Moon, of course, keeps changing signs every 2-3 days. Ketu in the 11th house. So you have the Rahu Ketu in the 5-11 axis. Ketu is in Virgo. And then, of course, Venus in Mula-Trikona Rashi in Libra in your 12th house. So let's analyze what this all mean. So first of all, looking at the Lagna or the rising or the first house, you have Scorpio, and Mars, the ruler, is with Sun. So there's a lot of fire energy. You may feel it's like you see Scorpio people generally, they are very hidden. They're not an open book. It's very hard to get very close to a Scorpio person. They have to really, really trust you. But when you have Mars and Sun sitting in the first house, this may actually give you some kind of something like, think about a pressure cooker, right? So there's pressure building. All of a sudden it'll have whistle, so the steam will go off. So that's the idea. So Mars and Sun, a lot of pitta energy in your mind, in your head, and that may blow up if you do not let it out. So big recommendation for Scorpio people is do lots of physical exercise. So that's how you channel the Martian energy, especially along with Sun. Do hatha yoga, do exercise, jogging, go out. So that's the very, very important thing for you to remember, Scorpio, is you need to let out that anger or even just those emotions, or that urge to do some action. Okay, so that's the energy right in your first house. Now you have your 10th ruler, Sun, sitting in the Lagna. So that means your career will be focused. And that means you'll be busy with your work, which is good, and you may actually get name and fame recognition at your work. That is true, especially for the first 16 days until Sun is in Scorpio in your Lagna, in your Rashi. And then Mars, of course, is also the sixth house ruler. So there may be like enemies sitting on your head, like you may be bothered by, people who are not friendly with you, or your own internal weaknesses like Shadripu. So take care of your own weaknesses. It's a good time to just do exercise, do physical work. That'll take care of a lot of issues. Okay. And then you have Mercury sitting in the second house. Mercury is the planet of communication. Second house is our speech. So that's great, especially first 12 days, excellent to do some webinars, do some speaking engagements. Your speech will be good, talk to a lot of clients, potential clients at your work, things like that. And also take care of family wealth. Mercury is, business and communication and money, all of that. And second house is family wealth. So take care of your family wealth, do some things, develop some plans for family wealth. And then after December 12th, it'll be retrograde. So that's when you want to be careful that instead of making huge, forward-looking plans, you can go back and maybe correct some old mistakes, past mistakes. or also grab some missed opportunities from the past with respect to your family, with respect to your family wealth, with respect to your speech and things like that. Then we have Saturn sitting in the Mula Trikona Rashi Aquarius in your fourth house. See, Saturn in the fourth house, generally, it's a very, Vata planet, windy, air, a lot of air, right? Especially in Aquarius. Aquarius is like a storm. So there could be a lot of like movement, okay? There may be desire to change things in your residence, things like that. But it's a good time to get things done at home. Okay, so maybe turn your home into an office, into your workplace. So that will be great with Saturn sitting there. Otherwise, you'll feel kind of like restless with lots of Vata energy. So just balance that Vata energy with a lot of massage and things like that. So that's and also the third lord sitting in the fourth house in Mula Trikona sign. So good time to also do things together with your siblings. And also learn some skills, especially skills with your hands. Learn some skills sitting at your home. It's a great time for that. You have the third ruler in Mula Trikona Rashi. Rahu Ketu in the 5-11 axis. See, Rahu in the fifth house may give you a lot of opportunities to have romantic partners. Rahu in the fifth house for children, they may actually feel a lot of change, movement, desires. They want to achieve things, which is good. They may want to go out, do things on their own, which is great. They may do unconventional things. And if you're, thinking of having a child or pregnant, things like that. So this is a time when actually Rahu will make things happen. You will see some movement, and could be like a huge desire to have children might surface again, right? So those kind of energies will be there. But really good time to do some creative work. Fifth house is a house of creativity. So you can start some projects, even unconventional projects, or, start learning some foreign subjects or more interaction with foreign people. And Rahu in fifth, of course, may actually give you a romantic relationship with a foreigner. So that's possible as well. Ketu in the 11th house will keep an eye on your desires. So you won't have like too many desires, which is good. Ketu in the 11th also will restrict your social activity. Like you won't be, totally living on the social media, things like that. And then also it will be, the finances, like it's, see, both 11th house has Ketu, and then the second house also has Mercury, which is good for money, but the ruler is sitting in the 6th house. It's retrograde going towards Rahu. So overall, it's kind of decent. It's not a super great period for finances. Just one thing is you need to take care of your expenses, because Venus in the 7th house, there may be tendency to spend on luxury, on things. I'm sorry, Venus in the 12th house, not the 7th house. Venus in the 12th house. So there may be tendency to like spend on things that you don't need, or just for show off, or it could be like luxury, things that you might think, oh, this is good, I should have it, but then you don't really need it. Okay, that's very, very important. But it's a really good time to do a healing work, especially energetic healing. Learning all that stuff as well at a very deep level. Visiting some ashrams, some gurus, meeting some gurus, foreign travel, things like that. So all of that is indicated during the month of December. And of course, you have to look at, what period you're running, Mahadasha, Antardasha. So the results, of course, vary, but this is just general overall analysis and recommendation for Scorpio Lagna as well as Scorpio Rashi. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And next we'll see. So now we're looking at the transits for the month of December for Sagittarius Lagna as well as Sagittarius Rashi. That means if your first sign, rising sign is Sagittarius, or your moon sign is Sagittarius, that means you're a Sagittarius Rashi, this will apply to you. So first of all, let's look at the overall chart. So you have number 9 sign, of course, here, Sagittarius. As you have Mercury sitting in the first house, Saturn in the 3rd house in Mula Trikona Rashi Aquarius. You have Rahu Ketu in the 4-10 axis, Rahu in Pisces in the 4th house, Ketu in Virgo in the 10th house. You have retrograde Jupiter in the 5th house in Aries, and it'll remain retrograde most of the month. So on 30th of December, Jupiter will become direct. And of course, moon keeps changing signs every 2-3 days. And then we have Mula Trikona Venus as well in Libra in your 11th house, wonderful placement. We'll talk about all of these. And then in the 12th house, you have fire energy of Mars and Sun together in the sign of Scorpio. So what does all this mean? And these are some of the highlights of the month. Of course, Saturn in Mula Trikona Rashi, Mercury will go retrograde middle of the month. Sun will change signs middle of the month. Venus and Mars will actually stay put for most of the month. So first of all, the the ruler, the Lagna Lord or the Rashi Lord, as the case may be, is sitting in the 5th house and it's retrograde. So 5th house is all about children, romance, creativity, all of that. So this is the time to focus on doing some creative projects, even having a child, and that's a possibility if you've been working on that, if you are thinking about that. And also expansion in your romantic relationships. So you may find somebody, romantic partner. So that there's a good, especially after December 30th, when Jupiter is direct, it'll be much more positive. But even now, there are, Jupiter will still give you blessings for the 5th house matters. Now, you have Saturn sitting in the 3rd house in its Mula Trikona Rashi Aquarius. See, Saturn loves in the 3rd house is the Upachaya house. 3, 6, 10, 11, those are the Upachaya houses. That means they grow with time. So and malefic planets especially give good results in those houses. So 3rd house Shani, excellent placement to do for short distance travels within the city. Those will be fruitful. And for your communication will be very to the point, no nonsense, very mature communication. And then also you'll opportunity to learn some skills with your hands especially. Okay. And 3rd house Saturn in Mula Trikona sign means you will your relationship you're dealing with your siblings will be very calculated. It won't be like just frivolous things. You'll probably do some constructive work, constructive projects, some business and things like that with your siblings. So this is the time to do karma, which is governed by Saturn, to do some solid karma with your siblings. And Saturn is also your 2nd house ruler, so that's family wealth. Very strong, very, very strong placement for that. And then, so talking about wealth and finances, so your 2nd ruler is very, very strong in Mula Trikona, and your 11th house ruler, which is the sign is Libra, the ruler is Venus, that is also in Mula Trikona Rashi. So a great time in terms of finances. You'll see positive results. Even if, let's say, you don't see actual money coming in right now, there will be things you'll set in motion. You'll make plans, you'll put together some projects, things like that. But there will be excellent improvement in the finances because both, and Saturn and Venus, they're both in trines to each other. So they're kind of, like in the same element, air element. So they are affecting each other, aspecting each other. This is the trinal aspect in Bhrigunandikari. So great time for finances. And of course, your Lagna Lord will be direct soon. So there'll be improvement in overall whenever Lagna Lord goes direct. That means generally your personality, yourself, everything will start moving forward. You'll be more confident. Your self-confidence will return. You have Rahu Ketu in the 4-10 axis, which is, Rahu in the 4th house may make you kind of like a little bit restless at your home, at a place of residence. You may feel like making changes, improvement, or it's a lot of Vata energy, or like just move, or unsettled, unsatisfied kind of feeling at home. So you can do head massage. You can basically, you can do Durga mantras as a key remedy. But it also means it gives you like new direction. You may have some innovative projects in your home, so you just change around things, maybe rearrange furniture, things like that. And then you have Ketu sitting in the 10th house of career, so you may actually feel kind of detached from your work, or it could mean you want to do some spiritual work as your main profession. So even in your current day job or something, or you may want to do things in a very like a spiritual manner, with a purpose. So profession with a purpose. So that's going to be the theme. And then we have Venus in the 11th house. Venus will give you access to a lot of wonderful friends, very fine friendships. You may shine on social media. And as we discussed, finances will be very good, good for money and gains. And then you have Mars and Sun in the 12th house. Lots of fire energy concentrated in the 12th house. Be careful not to overspend, not to have too much unnecessary expenditures. Dealings with foreign people, foreign countries. Be careful traveling to a foreign country. So all of that is indicated. And then Sun will actually change signs middle of the month on 16th of December. It'll move over to your Lagna. So that time will be excellent, much better time for your health, for immunity. Sun in Lagna improves your immunity and gives you strength. And then your luck will shine through as well, because Sun is your ninth house ruler. So ninth house ruler sitting in the Lagna, especially being the planet Sun, the Bhagyasthana will activate. So that'll be an excellent transit for you, December 16th through January 16th. And right now actually is a good time for doing sort of like pilgrimage, not like just foreign trips for fun, but make it more spiritual. And because ninth lord is sitting in the 12th house along with Mars. So that's the overall picture for Sagittarius Lagna and Sagittarius Rashi for the month of December. Next, we'll talk about Capricorn Lagna and Capricorn Rashi. So if you have your rising sign is Capricorn or your moon is in Capricorn, then it applies to you. So this is what's happening for Capricorn. Let me show you. So we have Capricorn here. And so in the second house, we have Mula Trikona Rashi, Shani, Saturn in Mula Trikona sign, Aquarius. Third house has Rahu in Pisces. Fourth house is Jupiter, retrograde in Aries. And the seventh house, of course, the moon will keep changing signs every 2-3 years. Ketu, of course, in the ninth house in Virgo. Venus is creating a Malavya Yoga in its Mula Trikona Rashi Libra. And then Sun and Mars are both in Scorpio in the 11th house, and Mercury is in the 12th house in Sagittarius. So lots of things happening. Of course, Saturn will be in Mula Trikona throughout the month. Rahu Ketu will be in the 3rd and the 9th houses. And Mercury is going to go retrograde on the 12th of the month, so in December. And Sun will actually change from Scorpio to Sagittarius middle of the month on 16th. So let's analyze this, what's going on. First of all, the Lagna Lord, Shani, is sitting in the 2nd house, and it's in Mula Trikona Rashi, very, very strong. So in a way, this is a time for consolidation of wealth, your family wealth, your assets. Saturn is the planet for management and organization. So Saturn will help you develop some plans for the long term for improving, increasing, expanding your family wealth. Okay. Second is, this is good to do some like talks or speaking engagements or webinars where you're giving a very mature kind of a message. Shani is a mature planet. So, like a very wise kind of a topic, spiritual topic, things like that. So this is good for that. Shani in the 2nd house, Mula Trikona, it'll also help you regulate your diet. You won't eat, junk food or things like that. Then for career, Venus Malavya Yoga in the 10th house in Libra. Excellent position. So this is great for expansion of career, developing partnerships, especially one-on-one. Venus is Shukracharya, who is more interested in one-on-one, teachings and things like that. So consulting on a one-on-one basis, those kinds of projects will be very fruitful. But in general, excellent time for your career. Venus is the planet for luxury and money and banking, finances, all of that in Bhrigu Nandinadi. So Your career will expand, and also the gains from your career. That's the 11th house, has Sun and Mars, a very fiery Pitta energy there. So you'll have gains, swift gains in finances. Be careful with your speech on social media or with your friends because of two harsh Pitta fiery planets. Be careful when you even post some things on social media. Don't get involved in any heated debates and things like that. So that is for first half of the month, because Sun will move over to your 12th house in on December 16th. So second half of the month, when Sun goes there, 12th house will be illuminated. So they'll be focused on maybe foreign travel, connection with foreign people. You may actually, it might be a good time to go on a retreat in an ashram, and also a wonderful time to learn some like energy healing, or focusing on dreams, astral travel, things like that, because wherever Sun goes, that house gets illuminated. And then we have Jupiter in the 4th house. So your home life, home environment will be very blissful, expansive. It's retrograde, so it'll actually force you to think deeply about any things in the past, any correct any mistakes with respect to your home or with respect to your mother, or grab any missed opportunities. And Jupiter will actually go direct on December 30th. So good time to spend at home doing some spiritual things with your mother. And then Rahu Ketu are in the 3-9 axis. Ketu in the 9th house, you may actually meet some very wise spiritual traditional gurus. And Rahu in the 3rd makes you a fighter. Rahu loves being in the Upachaya houses. 3rd house is the Upachaya house. And so good for short distance travels, running around, getting things done. Be careful with your communication, because Rahu is illusion. So there may be some challenges where, miscommunication, or your message may not come across like you intended to. So 3rd house Rahu, but it'll give you a lot of courage to develop new skills as well. And then Mercury is in the 12th house. Mercury is going to be retrograde on the 12th of December. So until then, it's good, as I mentioned. So initial first half of the month, Mercury is by itself, and Sun is in 11th house. So develop communications with foreigners, foreign people, foreign cultures, learn about foreign things. Mercury is all about acquiring knowledge. So like foreign subjects, foreign things, that might be a theme, even foreign travel. Okay. And actually you may have some foreigners visit you as well, or some foreign things, opportunities may land in your home, because 12th ruler is in the 4th house. But be careful with your communication with foreigners or travels, especially long distance travels. Be very careful, because you have, of course, the 3rd house is the short distance travels, 9th house is long distance travels, and 12th house could be like foreign travels. So you have, Rahu Ketu in 3-9. So very careful when you travel. And also Mercury is going to go retrograde after December 12th. So that period will be sensitive for travel. Overall, a lot of positive things at the home front for your career, financial gains, and family wealth. All of those things are going to improve, and you may develop some plans to improve those things in future. So that is December transits for Capricorn Lagna and Capricorn Rashi. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Next, we are talking about the December transits for Aquarius Lagna and Aquarius Rashi. And as you can see here, this is Aquarius. So if you if your rising sign is Aquarius, or if your moon sign is Aquarius, this will apply to you, because the Gochar remains the same for rising or for Rashi. So Aquarius rising, what's happening? Let's just quickly look at the chart. Saturn, Shani, your Lagna Lord, is in Lagna in Mula Trikona Rashi of Aquarius. It's also your 12th Lord. You have the Rahu Ketu in the 2-8 axis, Rahu in the 2nd house, Pisces, and Ketu in the 8th house in Virgo. You have retrograde Jupiter in the 3rd house in Aries, and you have Mula Trikona Venus in Libra in your 9th house.
excellent position. And then excellent placement. Yeah, Mars and Sun conjunct a lot of Pitta energy in the 10th house of your career in Scorpio, and you have Mercury in the 11th house in Sagittarius. So first of all, what's happening is your 12th house ruler and your Lagna Lord, they're both sitting in your Lagna and very, very strong. A lot of connections with foreigners and self-reflection, and you'll actually do things that are meaningful for you, not just for other people. You'll improve your personality, for sort of discover who you are and focus on things that matter for the long term, and not just waste time in frivolous things or just having fun. So you'll develop a lot of good habits and self-reflection and improve yourself in every area. You'll be very thoughtful, just going within. You'll be thinking a lot, like spending time by yourself, meditating, things like that. But you will be doing a lot of hard work, because Saturn in Lagna makes you do a lot of hard work, and that hard work is going to pay off tremendously in the long run. So it's a great placement. And also going in the spiritual direction, 12th house ruler in the Lagna will force you to, as I mentioned, go within and be more spiritual, focus on spirituality, focus on things that matter in life. Then we have wonderful Shukra, Venus, placed in the 9th house in Bhagyasthan, the house of luck and gurus and higher wisdom, in Libra, Mula Trikona Rashi. And also Venus is your 4th house ruler. So it gives a tremendous strength to your 4th house and your 9th house. So both your mother and father will get a boost, or your connection, relationship with them will improve. And so great time to spend time with the gurus, with your father, with your teachers, with your sangha, and big focus on spiritual progress. And then also making connection between your gurus and your home. So you may have some gurus visit you, or you may actually visit some gurus or teachers and spend time with them. Great time to start any higher education, but could be spiritual or for your profession. If you're a student, good time to start any like PhD or master's programs, things like that, or just spending time with your sangha, studying scriptures and things like that. So Venus in the 9th house also will be good for your luck, for your Bhagyasthan. You may find some surprises, positive things happening all of a sudden. So you may get some rewards, things like that. Unexpected things may happen in a positive manner. 10th house has Mars and Sun. It's a very strong Pitta energy. Be careful in your communication at work, but this is good for success in your career. Both Sun and Mars will give you energy to move forward, to take action, to do things, concrete things for your career. And Sun is also your 7th house ruler, sitting in the 10th house. So that means it's a great time to do things together with your partner. Professional things like projects for work or business, especially business. Yeah, start something new with your partner, or if you already are doing a business, grow that business. Talk about ideas, new ideas, how you can improve things, expand your business. And then that's for the first half of December, when Sun is going to be in 10th house in Scorpio. After December 16th, Sun will move over to Sagittarius. So that means 7th house ruler will be in the 11th house. So good for financial gains. So, with your partner, focus on how you can improve your finances, how you can bring in more money through your projects, through your business. So that'll be the key theme for this month, because wherever Sun goes, that sort of illuminates. So your career will be in focus first half of the month, and financial gains will be in focus. And then also Sun, when it goes to Sagittarius in the 11th house, second half of the month, you'll develop partnerships with influential people. and will be good also for you to shine in the social media, develop more friendships with people. And that's true because Jupiter is also in your third house, house of communication in general, which is another, dharmic planet. It's Jupiter is the guru. And when Sun goes to the 11th house, then you'll have Sun and Mercury there. So excellent time to develop new contacts, network, and that'll help with your career. And those networks, those connections will be very sattvic, spiritual focus, not just like creating friends for the sake of it, because Jupiter and Sun both are very sattvic planets, dharmic planets. And then we have Rahu Ketu in the 2-8 axis. Rahu in the second house, good for public speaking, but careful not to be carried away. But it gives you exposure, gives you this fearless quality to go out and speak in front of people, webinars, YouTube channel, things like that. It'll also help you grow your financial wealth, the family wealth. For the entire family. Ketu in the 8th house will give you a lot of spiritual inclination, very, very deep spiritual insights. Excellent time to study something very profound, spiritual. And then we have Mercury, which is going to be in the 11th house, and then it'll go retrograde on 12th of December. See, Mercury is also your 5th house ruler and your 8th house ruler. So overall, doing spiritual things with your children, that's going to be the theme, and that'll bring in financial gains or just basically change and transformation, because 8th house is change and transformation also. And especially when it goes retrograde, that means you want to go back and do some things from the past that you missed, or correct some mistakes from the past. But overall, in general, like have good communication sessions, or more discussions with your children, with your romantic partner, about spirituality, about change, transformation, meaning of life, about how to have financial gains in like wealth, abundance, all of that. Those topics are important, and also develop friendships, as I mentioned. And then towards the end of the month, Mercury will actually come back to Scorpio. So that's going to be that'll boost your career as well, even though it'll be retrograde. But Mercury with Sun, actually Mercury with Mars. So that's going to be a lot of focus on communication. But be careful with your speech when Mercury is retrograde and it's with Mars in the 10th house. So especially at your work, be careful with your speech. It'll give you a lot of courage and ideas about talking and communication and speaking, but be careful and mindful when you do that. So that's in general the overall analysis. A huge focus on yourself, improving yourself, your personality, setting long-term goals, and focusing on spiritual development. And then, of course, your 9th house is going to be boosted with the Mula Trikona Venus. So Saturn and Venus together are going to be the themes for you. Anyways, so these are Venus is your Yoga Karaka and Shani is your Lagna Lord. So those two planets will bring you material success, and both are considered, Saturn and Venus both are considered Asura Grahas, so they bring in material wealth and success. So set the foundations and do hard work for success in your future. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Next, we're talking about the December transits for Pisces, Lagna, and Pisces Rashi. So if you have your rising sign is Pisces or your moon sign is Pisces, then this applies to you. See Pisces, so let's see, this is the Pisces sign, and you have Rahu Ketu in the 1-7 axis, Rahu in the 1st house, Ketu in the 7th house. You have retrograde Jupiter in the 2nd house in Aries, and then you have Venus in Libra in your 8th house, and then you have Sun and Mars in the 9th house in Scorpio for half of the month, and then second half of the month Sun will actually move over to Sagittarius in the 10th house with Mercury, and Mercury is going to go retrograde on December 12th, and by the end of the month Mercury will actually transition over to Scorpio, back to Scorpio. And then you have Mula Trikona Saturn sitting in the 12th house in Aquarius. So that's the overall picture. So let's see how that will impact. And so what's happening? First of all, the Lagna Lord and your 10th Lord, Jupiter, that's retrograde. Okay. And it's sitting in the second house. So retrograde means you can pretty much bring it back to your Lagna. So it's a blessings of the Guru. So it's a good retrograde period for you, is actually good when Jupiter is retrograde. For Jupiter is good for you when Jupiter is in the second house retrograde. So it brings it back to the first house, gives you blessings overall to the entire chart. But anyway, after December 30th, it'll be direct. So you'll have, Jupiter will more focus on the second house. So until then, of course, you'll still see the impact of Jupiter retrograde in the second house as well. So good time to consolidate your financial wealth, family wealth. Good time for speaking engagements, especially Rahu in the Lagna also, and Jupiter in the second house, and Mercury in the 10th house. So great time to go out and speak on some wise topics, on some spiritual topics, start a YouTube channel, things like that. So any communication, speaking engagements will be wonderful, and then spending time with family and focusing on consolidating your family wealth. And then really, really powerful time for making investments, because the 11th Lord, which is, financial gains, and the 12th Lord, both are sitting in the 12th house in Mula Trikona sign. So 12th house is also our investments that we make. Okay. So Mula Trikona, Shani, Saturn is the planet of management. So excellent time to manage your investments, long-term investments, very, very long-term investments. This is the time to focus on investing money. And also you'll have success with foreign people, foreign culture, even foreign travel. Okay, so it's a good time to and also go on a retreat, ashram, and spiritual work, all of that, because Shani Mula Trikona will give you solid results sitting in your 12th house. And then Rahu Ketu in the 1-7 axis. See, Rahu in the first house will make you, sort of like unsettled energy, at least in terms of you'll want to do a lot of things. It'll make you go to a lot of places and do a lot of things and want to achieve a lot of things. Connection with the foreigners, desire to just, do innovative new things, everything new, more. So that'll be the theme. And it could also lead to like daydreaming and a lot of imagination rather than focusing on, achieving results in the present. So be careful about that. Don't have your imagination, or let your imagination run wild. But other than that, it gives you a lot of material success and this energy and desire to achieve bigger and greater things, especially when Jupiter is also retrograde coming back to your Lagna. Now, Ketu in the 7th house, some caution with your relationships, especially because Venus is also in the 8th house, the planet of relationships, and Venus is having a little bit of papakartari. Not exactly, because Ketu is retrograde, so not moving towards Venus, so it's not that powerful, but still. So caution with relationships. Very, very careful in your words, in your speech, because Ketu may make you make headless mistakes. Ketu is headless planet. So very, very careful when dealing with relationships, especially after December 12th, when your 7th Lord Mercury will go retrograde. Okay, so all the things about relationship, one is Ketu in the 7th house, Venus in the 8th house, hemmed in between Ketu and Sun and Mars, and then your 7th Lord going retrograde. And 7th Lord is the planet of communication as well. So very, very careful with your, it's just about your communication in your relationships. So careful about that, and not to have any pitta, fire, and anger type of emotions in your relationships. Venus in the 8th house by itself, a wonderful placement for healing. See, Venus in the 8th house actually could make you even achieve or have the Sanjeevani Vidya, which is the knowledge to bring even dead people back to life. So that's very, very powerful placement for learning healing sciences, Ayurveda, or even any energetic or Jyotish, these kinds of esoteric subjects which help with spiritual progress, but also like actual real healing people at a very deep level. Good for finances from other people, getting money from other people, even your clients, and and then but just careful with your relationships. And then the ninth house is a lot of fire energy, so careful with your communication with your gurus, with your father. And so this is going to be for the first half of the month. And then starting December 16th, Sun will actually move over to your 10th house, so that'll give a big boost to your career, even though Mercury will be retrograde, but Sun will shine light on your career. You'll have success, and you'll develop contacts with the higher authorities. Excellent time to be a leader and develop contacts with like people who have the power, like executives, and start big projects and new projects when Sun is sitting in your 10th house. And then of course the 10th lord and the Lagna lord both are sitting in the second house, so again, good time to consolidate family wealth. And after December 30th, when Jupiter goes direct, there'll be even more powerful time. So from end of December through mid-January, actually, when Jupiter is direct, which is the 10th lord, and Sun is sitting in the 10th house, and Mercury would have gone away from the 10th house, retrograde Mercury, to back to Scorpio. So the first half of January especially will be excellent for your career, but things will be in motion throughout the month of December as well. So good time to focus on these things, but careful about relationships. And also in general, Saturn will help you restrict your expenses, but one of the good remedies for you would be to give donations to ashrams or to the priests and temples and things like that. So that's overall the analysis for December for Pisces rising Lagna and Pisces Rashi or moon sign. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching.